I want to talk about one more instance of something horrific happening. And it's a nation state saying that they will literally come to your house and search for your Bitcoin hardware wallet to confiscate your money if you owe them. So we're going to talk about where that's happening, who said it, all of it. But we're also going to talk about some solutions to that and to some of these other things that we've seen in regards to free speech, in regards to being able to use your money as you please, being able to save and keep it away from grubby little government fingers coming and kicking in your door and taking your money. So we're going to chat. Let me break this down for my fellow Bitcoiners. In just 8 weeks, I've seen a serious shift. More strength, more energy, and fast muscle gains. The reason? FITSCRIPT. They ran 124 biomarkers, blood, hormones, inflammation, and built a fully custom plan, nutrition, training, supplements. No guesswork, no templates. This is functional medicine meets precision fitness for high-performing men who want sovereignty over their health. If you care about optimization the way you care about your money, test, don't guess. Don't trust, verify. Hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to check out FITSCRIPT and see what's possible. All right, we are back in, and we want to talk about a nation state that says they're going to come for your Bitcoin and take it out of your diamond hands in your own home, which is pretty scary. And so I'm going to bring up this article here. The South Korea ramps up crypto seizures, will target cold wallets. This is coming from their National Tax Service. So South Korea's National Tax Service, or the NTS, is expanding its crackdown on tax evasion, warning that even crypto assets stored in cold wallets will be subject to seizure. According to a report from a local news outlet, an NTS official said the agency is prepared to conduct home searches and confiscate hard drives and cold wallet devices if it suspects that tax delinquents are hiding their crypto assets offline. Quote, we analyze tax delinquents, coin transaction history through crypto tracking programs, and if there is suspicion of offline concealment, we will conduct home searches and seizures. Yeah, I suppose, this is a given that this would be happening eventually. But nonetheless, it's still wild to hear, like, hey, we're going to come kick in your door and take your cold card, right?
Yeah, but I think you're right. It's an inevitability. And right now they're saying it's just for tax delinquents. Okay, aside from my opinions of the income tax side, but it's not going to stop there. And it's not going to stop with South Korea, because this is a fundamental threat to every government's fiat money printer. And it's going to be framed as some sort of national security measure. The Bitcoin hoarders are hurting the economy and hurting our national security. You're going to 6302 this thing, and stuff is going to be seized. So no, it's just a matter of when. Frankly, I'm surprised governments have let it go this far for this long. I have to assume it's just a result of incompetence and not being educated enough of what exactly they're dealing with. But I don't see how they allow this to go on. There will be a fight coming, and you got to do your best to try to protect yourself from the state.
Yeah. I want to chat in this particular case. Somebody, and it could be the South Korean government, but it also could just be somebody trying to steal money from you. I want to chat a little bit about some of the solutions that people can have to at least mitigate that risk, and have a degree of plausible deniability. One of the greatest things that an individual can do is obtain their Bitcoin in a private way, right? Like if you go on an exchange and you give up your ID and all of that, there is a record that you've bought Bitcoin at some point. And even privacy measures down the line, it doesn't get rid of that record of you having bought Bitcoin. So if you have resources available to you, and that could be peer-to-peer local meetup that could, if you're doing anything locally for cash with an individual, that's like A plus. If you can earn Bitcoin, A plus. There are other options. If you don't have somebody directly that you can buy off of, you can always go to peer-to-peer online exchanges that don't require KYC. We're big fans of HODL HODL. That's a great place where it links you up with another individual. And there's like an escrow system so that nobody ever has full control over the Bitcoin. It's like there's multiple keys involved, and multiple parties have to agree in order to get it to where it needs to be. And then there's a fiat payment involved that is in no way linked to your Bitcoin payment. So it just looks like I sent Gary a wire transfer for whatever, and there's no indication that Bitcoin was involved, and that exchanges hands. So that's one option. Again, other examples of peer-to-peer exchanges outside of HODL HODL might be something like RoboSats or BISC, or I think Peach in the EU is an option. I haven't personally used it, but I've heard of it.
Take your word for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, if anybody watching from the EU has used Peach, let us know in the chat. I'm always curious. Even like here in Canada, we've got Bitcoin Well, and they have like a cash voucher system linked through their ATMs. And so they're able to remain compliant, and ensure that one customer only gets below the daily allotted threshold, but you're not required to give ID. And that's kind of the important part. So you get it straight into self-custody. I've done a video on that. So again, another way to do it. Obtaining Bitcoin is one way, is going to give you the biggest jumping off point. But, there's other things you can do. I think coin joining is important, and helpful when you go to use Bitcoin later, that somebody can't look back and see where it came from. They don't get to see insights into your whole stack after the fact. But I think security wise, maybe we should touch on that. Gary, have you ever used a passphrase on a wallet before?
Yes, I have.
Indeed.
I'm
Now,
not going to tell you what it is.
Yeah. Can you tell us? Can you tell us in the chat there? I mean, passphrases are very useful, and if people are watching that are unfamiliar with a passphrase, basically, when you set up a Bitcoin wallet, you've got a backup, right? You've got a seed phrase, and it's 12 words, 24 words. That is a very sensitive piece of information. Somebody gets a hold of that, they have the keys to your money. However, you can have an additional word that you add.
Or words.
Words, yeah. Really any phrase, anything that you want, numbers, letters, characters, doesn't matter. And what that does is, in combination with your 12-word backup or 24-word backup, this additional word is completely hidden. Nobody knows it exists. And actually, any combination of digits will generate a completely new hidden wallet alongside your words. And if you enter it incorrectly, there's no indication you've done it incorrectly. It just leads to a new empty wallet. And so this is something that could be a tool for some plausible deniability. You have your 12 words, and on the 12-word seed phrase, that wallet, maybe there's a decoy amount. Maybe you have a few $1,000 sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
But unbeknownst to the person trying to get your Bitcoin, you also have a hidden passphrase wallet where the bulk of the money is actually stored. So
Exactly.
you can feasibly say like, hey, like, listen, here's the seed. Look, this is all I have.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a secondary backup of the seed somewhere else. The attacker, government or otherwise, leaves, and then you go get the other seed, and you use your passphrase to recover the real funds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, useful tool. Like, the one thing it doesn't hedge against is actual physical coercion.
And that's the fundamental problem with Bitcoin ultimately. I mean, Bitcoin is such a wonderful, wonderful tool. It just leaps and bounds above anything we've had before. The government can't, or anybody can't stop you from sending a transaction. Nobody can actually stop it. They can't freeze your Bitcoin bank account because there is no Bitcoin bank account. They can't say, well, you said the wrong thing. We're going to not let you send it to this person, do this transaction. You can do the transactions, But the one thing Bitcoin can't prevent is the state or somebody else coming in and say, we're going to put you in a cage and we're going to hit you with things until you give up these phrases or words or whatever. That's still human, just base level stuff that I'm sorry we don't have a solution for yet. Maybe someday, but this is at least an improvement.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I mean, this is a situation where somebody comes in and they could physically coerce you, and then you could comply because you have the 12 words and then you know the passphrase. And so you can access it. If you don't want the ability to comply, then you might be looking at something like multisig. And that's where you have multiple keys. You require a number of keys to unlock the money. And maybe you have access to one of them at your home if you choose, but the other keys are distributed elsewhere geographically. Sometimes it might be you got to get on a plane and go to a different country to get one of these other keys. And at that point, like, you know, you're going to have to they're going to have to put in some real elbow grease to get that other key, right? Or, you know, like especially if it's jurisdictionally in another place, it's like, well, if they hold you, what are they going to do? Like, are they going to contact the other government and say like, hey, you're also going to need to go and physically coerce this family member in another jurisdiction to give up this thing? Like, it becomes much more of an ordeal to deal with something like that. And so, you know, it's worth looking into. I think as a Bitcoin user that is self-custodying, if you're in a single sig, like a single hardware wallet securing your Bitcoin, a lot of people will be pretty okay with that. However, if you see the writing on the wall, if all of a sudden people that are sitting on exchanges are starting to get their assets seized, it's time to move to a multi-sig. It's time to get those keys distributed. That will be your canary in the coal mine to get your shit together fast. The tools are there, but it's also maybe the canary in the coal mine to get the hell out of Dodge and move.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and the funny thing is, we were talking earlier about all the tech that we can use to try to better secure ourselves. And the irony with Bitcoin that I'm always amused by is some of the best tech you can use is the most low tech stuff of human beings. Like when we save our recovery seed, we're not taking a picture of it. You're not going to save it online. You're going to get yourself like a quill and parchment and write it down. And you know, there are even I've done the thing where I'm going to stamp my seed into metal just in case, you know, the house burns down or whatever. That's certainly a great way to prevent it. But then you also think, well, gosh, you know, what if somebody wants to come in with a metal detector and they find it? And there is a company I played with, Micro Seed, where you can stamp your recovery seed into like nylon, like a little piece of nylon. So you could stick that in a plastic baggie, buried in the yard. X marks the spot on your map, and even a metal detector is not going to find it. Or you can get it through the airport without anybody seeing it. But you know, a lot of the time, some of like the lowest tech solutions can be the way to go, because at that point, you're just relying on dumb luck or torture to find the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a multitude of tools out there as pertains to protecting your Bitcoin. And you're just going to have to kind of, you know, gauge the risk. And like, on one hand, you don't want to complicate something so much that you lock yourself and your loved ones out.
100%.
But on the other hand, if shit starts hitting the fan, you also want to be familiar with some of those tools and maybe have to pull the trigger on utilizing them at that point too. Hey, you. Yes, you watching the Bitcoin price movements and the latest exciting news. It's awesome to stay informed, but the real power of Bitcoin comes from taking control. Don't just watch, take action. Head over to btcsessions.ca/learn for free step-by-step tutorials that guide you through every major skill you need to know, plus full video playlists for deeper dives on any topic you like. And if you're ready for the ultimate fast track, scroll to the bottom and check out bitcoinmentor.io for premium one-on-one experience with my team of Bitcoin experts to ensure you get it right the first time. Don't wait. Secure your Bitcoin future today. Hit the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen.